States, Canada, and Tokyo, Japan. This is the Rich Stevens Radio Network.
All right, how are you? Welcome. Here we go. Let me tell you where we're at right now. ISIS leader killed by United States military. A congresswoman resigns because of allegations of an affair with a staffer. Those California wildfires sparked by power lines. Pilot accused of live streaming footage from a bathroom. The Joker, once again, number one at the box office. Teacher striking in Chicago. Nope, it's still going on. And the Astros win Game 5 of the World Series. How are you? I'm Rich Stevens. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate it. It was yesterday, after years of searching, the United States military finally tracked down the leader of ISIS over the weekend and took him out. President Trump made the announcement at a press conference early yesterday morning.
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. He was the founder and leader of ISIS, the most ruthless and violent terror organization anywhere in the world. He died after running into a dead-end tunnel, whimpering and crying and screaming all the way. He was a sick and depraved man, and now he's gone.
And in his speech, he said he died like a dog, he died like a coward. U.S. Special Operations Forces raided his compound in Idlib province. Al-Baghdadi set off a suicide vest, according to the president. He died crying in a tunnel, and he had 3 of his own children with him, who, of course, were also killed in the explosion. Supposedly, there was a $25 million bounty on the head of this guy. And it's also interesting to note that, unlike with bin Laden, who was taken out by the Navy SEALs, this Baghdadi guy was taken out by the Army's Delta forces, who came in a very dangerous mission on several stealth helicopters, then landed, and over 100 men took off out of those helicopters and nailed this guy. Speaking of ISIS, by the way, they've turned to a popular video app called TikTok. Your kids probably have this on their phones. It's mostly used by kids, and it's to share dance and music videos or post clips that depict grisly beheadings and torture. But you see, this is the kind of thing that you got to check your kids' phones in, or about, rather. So their videos, which were first discovered last week and were initially believed to be propaganda clips shared from a dozen accounts, only later it was discovered that some of the videos actually depicted violence and horror, showing torture and murder bizarrely with emoji stickers. So those videos luckily were flagged and removed by TikTok, but the shocking clips showed militants wearing torturing devices, or they had torturing devices, and captives by pushing them to the ground and beheading them with machetes. So this is not something you want to watch, or let alone your kids watch. And other videos showed assailants shooting people at close range. So luckily they're down, but you got to, I would check out your kid's phone to make sure if they have the app, they know not to open those kind of things. 2 men were killed, at least 6 others wounded, another shooting. This time at a homecoming weekend party, happened about midnight on Saturday, right near Texas A&M University. And 4 of those that were wounded are in critical condition this morning, while 6 other people were injured when they attempted to flee the scene. Now, one other shooting victim was supposedly in good condition, but the police say they're looking for a lone gunman, but no suspect has been identified, and police were still attempting to get a detailed description. They have no description of the shooter from witnesses who were at this party venue when the incident took place. Now, the party had nothing to do with the school. It wasn't officially sanctioned by the school, but it was promoting a homecoming event. And the event was attended. There was about 600 people there, mostly in their early 20s or teens. 4 students treated and released from local hospitals, according to Texas A&M Commerce. And hopefully, they pull out of that critical condition and have a quick turnaround. And speaking of quick turnarounds, remember, I think it was just about a week ago, I was telling you about the congresswoman in California, the Democratic Congresswoman Katie Hill. She's from Santa Clarita. And yesterday, she announced her resignation following those allegations that she had an improper relationship or improper relationships with a congressional aide and or a campaign staffer. Remember that story? So when she announced her resignation letter yesterday in a letter to constituents, she said she was resigning, quote, with a broken heart. And she wrote, "This is what needs to happen so that the good people who supported me will no longer be subjected to the pain inflicted by my abusive husband and the brutality of hateful political operatives who seem to happily provide a platform to a monster who is driving a smear campaign built around cyber exploitation." Now, she added, "I know that as long as I'm in Congress, we'll live fearful of what might come next and how much it'll hurt." And she also apologized for the mistakes made along the way and the people who have been hurt, adding, "I am learning. I'm not a perfect person and never pretended to be." Now, you might recall she was elected to Congress back a year ago, in 2018, as part of that so-called blue wave that had the Democrats winning back the House, and she was being investigated by the House Ethics Committee as to whether she should have engaged in sexual relationships with an individual who was on her congressional staff. Now, she had denied the relationship with the House staff member, but she admitted she was involved in a relationship with a member of her staff during the final tumultuous years of her abusive marriage. So she blamed this whole thing on her husband, her ex-husband, who supposedly posted these pictures online, and that's where all this came out. And so she's gone. Speaking of gone, a Southwest Airlines flight attendant has filed a lawsuit claiming that she witnessed two pilots live streaming video of the plane's bathroom during a flight. Now, this flight attendant says she noticed a live stream on an iPad in the cockpit while the captain took a bathroom break. Now, the panicked co-pilot told her it was a new high-tech measure on Southwest planes. Really? But the flight attendant wasn't stupid and didn't buy it and took a picture of the iPad with her cell phone. She told other flight attendants and airline personnel about the live stream and was warned to keep quiet. Now, the airline says that supposedly they were retaliated by bullying her and other attendants with unjustified tests and performance audits. So attorneys for the pilots deny every accusation, of course. Now, according to Southwest, they released a statement said there was never a camera. They said Southwest will vigorously defend the lawsuit when the incident happened 2 years ago. Why are we hearing about this now if it happened 2 years ago? We investigated the allegations and addressed the situation with the crew involved. We can confirm from our investigation that there was never a camera in the bathroom. The incident was an inappropriate attempt at humor, which the company did not condone. And they didn't explain what they meant by inappropriate attempt at humor. But, it just, I keep saying this over and over again. You never know who's watching you and or where they're watching you. And as they make these cameras smaller and smaller, I mean, we're talking pinhead cameras. Those have been around for a long time. The difference is today that these pinhole cameras, and it's the size of a pin. That's why it's called a pinhole camera. Keep getting better and better and better, the better quality. And it's amazing. Which is why I'll never understand, and I say this all the time, when you watch the news and they show video of somebody robbing a store or breaking in, and 9 times out of 10, the video quality is awful. It's ridiculously awful. And can you identify these men? And you can't even, you couldn't even see their eyes. And the thing that's going on here is people bought these camera systems for their businesses or homes or whatever the case might be, and they never updated them to the newer models, which are much clearer. I mean, those Ring cameras, those Ring doorbells, those have better pictures than the security cameras in most of these businesses. It's truly remarkable to me. Even in banks, you see a bank robbery. There was one on TV, I think, Friday night on the news, and they said that this so-and-so bank on the Treasure Coast was robbed, and here's a photo of one of the guys, and if you recognize him, please call police. It looked like, you couldn't tell anything. Because they have these old antiquated camera systems that should be updated, and then maybe they'd catch more people. It's just really, I shouldn't be laughing, but it is funny that people are not willing to spend a few extra bucks. I mean, again, even if you get one of these Ring cameras. Now, the Ring camera is not a pinhole camera, so it's not small, but it's obvious that it's there. But you can get these cameras, like, for example, banks. I don't understand why banks, right there on the counter, don't have one of these tiny pinhole cameras, and they put it like in that little pen, the thing that the pen holds onto, and put it right in there. I mean, they could do that. The technology is here. We have that today. And speaking of technology, those wildfires in Northern California, get ready for this, may have, we don't know for sure, but it looks like they've been started by the utility company, Pacific Gas and Electric. This is the company that's been cutting off power in the windy weather to prevent these blazes, but the strategy, it looks like it backfired. Now, Pacific Gas and Electric said a live 230,000 volt transmission line somehow malfunctioned right before the fire erupted on Wednesday. This was Wednesday night, and a broken jumper wire was found on a transmission tower. And that's the fire that burned at least 50 buildings and 35 square miles and prompted evacuation orders for over 3,000 people. And it's still burning. Now, the governor in California has declared a statewide emergency as of yesterday, and a huge wind-fueled blaze forced evacuations in these massive power blackouts, threatening towns in the Sonoma wine region. The Sonoma Valley, that's wine country. So already, as of last night, one very famous, very old winery has been burnt to the ground. Now, that Kincaid fire, which is north of San Francisco, has spread to 40,000 acres. And by the way, as of last night, that was only 10% contained. These are very hard, difficult fires to, control because they just jump. And when they jump over one side of a road to the other side, it's hard to grab hold of that. Now, this is the largest of more than a dozen wildfires burning throughout the state of California. And as I said, it's destroyed tons of homes, wineries. And that what I was talking about is the famous Soda Rock Winery, which was built in 1869. What a shame. I mean, it's just really, this is nature, but there's nothing that could really be done. And at least 2 hospitals in that area, Sutter Santa Rosa Regional Hospital and Kaiser Permanente Hospital, evacuated patients over the weekend to other hospitals. About 200,000 people were under mandatory evacuation orders, including in parts of that Santa Rosa area and a large swath of Sonoma County, all the way to the Pacific Ocean. I mean, this is serious stuff. And, it was just last year, and I just talked about this the other day, that one of my lifelong friends lost not only his whole house, but, of course, everything in it. And he's got his life, thank God, his girlfriend, thank God, but literally lost everything. And the thought of that, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that gives me nightmares at night. Just, and me, because I have so much crap, I have so much stuff, so many great memories. And, this is why it's important, they say, especially like with documents and pictures, to scan these things and keep them somewhere else other than your house. God forbid something should happen. Maybe you have a relative that lives somewhere else. You give them this DVD that has all the stuff on it. God forbid you lose it. You could at least somewhat recover it. I mean, that is just, it's awful. It breaks my heart to hear these stories. And even worse so that it's happening again, just like last year. I really appreciate you listening to the Rich Stevens Show and passing it on and sharing the links to other people. And if you want to reach out, you can go to Rich, R-I-C-H, Stevens with a V, StevensShow.com, RichStevensShow.com. Click on the contact tab and get in touch with me. Let me know how we're doing, and if there's anything I can do for you, if there's anything you think we should be talking about that we're not talking about. And of course, you could reach me 305-707-7878, 305-707-7878. And that's my personal cell, so you can text me if you want, or you can just leave me a voicemail. You know, the holiday time, I told you a few weeks ago, when I walked into Costco, it was like, bam, I got hit by the huge Christmas tree that's already set up and all the Christmas stuff. And secondary, they have the Halloween stuff. I can't believe it's Halloween, but it's just, you know, it's pretty amazing already. On Thursday's Halloween. But now, just in time for the holidays, Toys R Us, which closed, looks like they're coming back. They've opened 2 new, what they call immersive toy wonderlands. They call it Toys R Us Adventure. There's only 2 so far. There's one in Chicago and there's one in Atlanta. Now, the company has a brand new website along with a partnership with former rival Target, and they're preparing to open their first new stores in November. The first stores will open at the Galleria Mall in Houston and I had to take a drink. And Garden City Plaza in Paramus, New Jersey. That's pretty cool, huh? I thought they were done and they were done and over, but apparently they're trying to make a little comeback. I hope they do really well. Speaking of doing really well, this couple, I used to live in Saginaw, Michigan, or I lived there for a while, so I know the area. And when I saw this on TV yesterday, I happen to know exactly where this property is because I lived very close to it. Imagine you're in your house early in the morning and you hear a crash about 8:30 in the morning. So the homeowners, they went outside and the woman found a device that appeared to be from outer space. Now, I don't know about you, but the first thing I would think is this is something's wrong here and this is scary. But instead, and did I mention it was making noise? I mean, I'd be on the phone with 911 so quickly that I wouldn't be standing next to that thing. But it had the wording Samsung Space Selfie on it. And it turns out, I can't make this stuff up. It turns out that the Space Selfie is in fact an initiative by Samsung that lets users send their selfie photos to a Galaxy S10 smartphone, which is attached to the satellite. Right? Now, there's a separate camera attached to the satellite, would then take photos of the selfies as it appears on the phone, giving people impressions that their pictures are in space. So the satellite was launched 65,000 feet above the Earth just this past Wednesday. They had a promo event in London, which was attended by model Cara, I'm going to butcher this name, Cara Delevingne, and she is believed to have snapped the first selfie ever that was beamed into space at the London event. But this is this could have hurt somebody or somebody's, or it could have crashed into their house. And according to Samsung, they say that they knew it was going to come back to Earth, but it wasn't supposed to come back and hit on somebody's property. Now, I don't know a lot about satellites, but who sends a satellite up into the atmosphere and then it comes down a few days later? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5 days. It was up there 5 days. And Saginaw, Michigan, of all places? By the way, we used to call it Sag Nasty. Not exactly the most beautiful part of the country to live in, but it was beautiful in the wintertime, but way too much snow. And the opposite of snow, of course, is here in Florida. And if you're in South Florida and you're looking for a job, there's some job openings that you may or may not be interested in. And the South Florida Water Management District, now I tell you about this every year because this is the time when it happens. There's actually a guy from Iran that has applied for this job, but there's 2,600 other applicants from all over the world that want this job. And why you would want this job is beyond me because it's so dangerous. And the official title is Python Removal Agent. Now, the guy in Iran is 38 years old. He's an electrical engineer, but says he's really passionate about snakes, and that's why he should be hired. And he spent most of his childhood catching viper snakes in the mountains, and he kept these venomous snakes in plastic boxes and used to play with them. Really? I mean, would you want a job like this where you go into the muck of all mucks at nighttime searching for these pythons. They just caught one the other day that was 18 feet long. The head was so big. I've never seen a head on a python as big as this, but then again, I've never seen an 18-foot python before. And the Wildlife Commission said that, now remember, the guy that caught this is holding the head, and the snake was pissed, and he's got his mouth open, and he's hissing and everything. And the South Florida Water Management District said that this snake could easily swallow a human being. I don't know about you, but that's not the job for me. I would not want to be anywhere near that or have anything to do with it whatsoever. But if you're interested, they still are accepting applications at the South Florida Water Management District website here in South Florida. You know, this whole thing with all these vaping, I guess you could say panics that are going on. Well, so some people are stopping with the vaping, which is a very good thing. The bad thing is they're going back to smoking regular cigarettes. See, a lot of people left regular cigarettes thinking that this vaping stuff would replace that and it was a safer option. Turned out not to be a safer option because so many people have been getting this mysterious illness that the CDC and doctors still can't figure out what it is. And it's already killed several people and injured a couple thousand already. There's one student in New York City, and she says she's back to smoking cigarettes after she switched to vaping only a year ago. She says a lot of her friends were vaping, but almost all are back to traditional cigarettes because of the risk of vaping is just so damn dangerous. And she claims that her friends aren't alone because a lot of vapors across the country are now back to smoking cigarettes, at least until the vaping illness is over, until they figure out, exactly what it is. And we don't know if doctors are going to, figure out what it is, but they're working on it. They're working diligently on it. But I got to tell you, the first time I saw people, there were some people at work that were vaping, and they're vaping in their office, and the amount of smoke that comes out when they exhale is like, oh my God, what the hell is that? And then they had the certain flavors, and sometimes it smelled good, but that means we were inhaling it too. And I'm saying that can't be good for you. It's impossible, because that's like 100 times the amount of smoke that you would be taking in with a regular cigarette. Who would have known? I was right. Very dangerous stuff. And speaking of dangerous stuff, this is the kind of stuff that literally scares the hell out of me, because I went through something like this a few years ago. There's a new warning from doctors. There's a thing that's very real, and it's called eye stroke. And they came out with this after a guy was blinded by games on his smartphone. I don't play games. Do you play games? I don't play games. I got my best friend Don in Tampa. He plays games with a bunch of people online. I don't understand this. It doesn't have any allure to me whatsoever, but it's very popular. But now this guy in China lost his sight after he was playing games on his smartphone. And here's the thing, the lights were off, so he's playing in the dark. Now, you see, if I look at my computer screen or my phone in the dark, my eyes start to burn and tear, and just literally tear like I'm crying. So there's obviously something going on, and I don't know about you, but on my iPhone, there's a feature where it knows to lessen the light if it's a darker room. In other words, if I'm out in a room that's got the lights on, the phone is full brightness, or if I'm outside, it's I think it lowers a little bit in the bright light. But at night, like if I look at the phone while I'm in bed and all the lights are out and I have a darkened room, it knows to lower itself, and that's to protect your eyes. But doctors diagnose this guy with an eye stroke, which is a condition caused by a blockage of the arteries which carry the oxygen to the retina. And they say it was caused by an overuse of electronic items, which can lead to excessive strain on vision. Again, I don't know about you, but that's pretty scary stuff. I had a problem with my eyes a few years ago, and I went to one eye doctor. I still can't even believe this happened. I went to one eye doctor in Boca, and he dilated my eyes, and he looked, and he says, there could be a problem here. I need you to go see this eye surgeon. He's waiting for you right now. And I said to him, I'm laughing now, but I really want to cry. I said, but my eyes are still dilated. Shouldn't I wait? He says, no, you need to see him right away. So I got in the car, and I drove down from 441. I mean, I went in the weirdest way. I went from 441 to Powerline and cut across Powerline and then back up Glades Road. And he was on the right side, I guess the north side of Glades Road. But I hit one of those, you know, those orange things where you're supposed to keep in your lane when they have a turn lane. I hit some of those. I mean, I'm driving with my eyes dilated. I can't even see normal. But I finally made it there, and the doctor says, we need to get this guy prepped. We're going to do a, ultrasound of your eyes. And I'm thinking, ultrasound? And he says, yeah, it's a Doppler ultrasound. And I said, isn't that the kind of thing that they do in the hospital where they put the gel on? And he said, yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. So me being, you know, the worst fearing person of doctors, I'm thinking I got to open my eyes and he's going to put the stuff on my eyes and then take that thing and push down on it. It's going to be really painful. Turned out that it was exactly the same thing, but what they do is they put the gel, you close your eyes, thank God, on the outside, and they run that thing all around to get pictures of the inside of the eye, the same way they would like a sonogram kind of thing, you know, for a baby. Or an echocardiogram, same thing, where they put that gel on and they bring the thing around. It's one of the weirdest experiences I've ever had. So I hope I never have to do that again. You know, fast food chains today have bad fries. How they're still in business, I really don't understand. But they did a survey, about 5,000 people, and this comes up about every once a year or so. Which fast food chain has the absolute best French fries? And I think the answers might surprise you, although they don't surprise me. It used to be that McDonald's was always the best French fries. Ever since McDonald's changed their French fries and made them like sticks, like a little bit thicker than toothpicks, I'm out. Burger King, forget about it. Burger King is number 6 with 11%. Number 5 is Wendy's, 11%. I think the Wendy's fries are good if you get them well done. Arby's, I haven't had in years. 4th with 21%. Chick-fil-A, I remember those, haven't had them in a long time. Number 3, 24%. McDonald's scored pretty high, number 2 at 44%. But the best fries, according to these 5,000 people that were surveyed, is Five Guys. 46% said they're Five Guys. So there you go. I would tend to agree, but the only reason the Five Guys fries are really great is because they are frying in a different method, and they just cut better. They're cut from fresh potatoes. Five Guys on the East Coast is kind of like In-N-Out on the West Coast. In-N-Out is much better, but the fries are pretty much the same. So there you go. All right, listen, have a great Monday. I'm out of time. I appreciate you listening to The Rich Stevens Show. And you could reach out by going to richstevensshow.com, click on the contact form, or call me 305-707-7878, or you can text me too. Seriously, enjoy your Monday. And thanks for listening to The Rich Stevens Show.